So that means the stream is live. And we still have a couple of minutes before we start. That means if you come to the recording of this stream, then be aware that this is not the beginning. This is not the end. But the stream has already started again. That is good. We have a couple of minutes for everybody in the audience to restart their stream. We are presenting live at Dev.24 2021 on Work Adventure. So we have a large audience here, a big auditorium with people in there that need to be made aware that the stream is now continuing after our break. I'll be quiet now because it will be up to the others to actually cover the next topic when time is due.
I'll try in the stage now, just to try.
Okay. So, yeah, let's keep it going. We have a special session now. Everybody's invited to interact, including if you want to come up on stage and share your screen and participate, everybody is invited. Since this is a session to talk about Liferay user groups. Yesterday, we talked a little bit about what it takes to implement one, to create a Liferay user group. And today, we'll be talking a little bit more about what's to come for Liferay user groups next year, and what are we planning, even if you're not a co-organizer, you can come up on stage and participate with us, because everybody is invited to Liferay user groups and can have great ideas on this session. So with me today, it's Álvaro Salgar. Oh God, when I said your name, my Spanish kicked in. Like, when I said your name, okay, it's not in English.
Don't worry.
Álvaro, where are you? What do you do? Tell us more.
Well, as you said before, yes, everyone who comes and tell where they are interested or they think that it could be useful for the community, topics, or not only topics that to talk about, to they want talk about everything they think that is important for the community. It's important for them. I think that it's important for the community. So I think that this is a good point to receive feedback, to interact. And this is as we said before yesterday in the other session, is the main important of the main point in the loop, in the dev user group, is the community, and the community are the people that are there. So if everyone can go up or questioning, write any question in the Slack channel, of course, we are open for that. Well, for here, I have been writing some ideas on some things that we have already made in Spain, in the look of Spain, and other things that we are working right now in the future. Well, if you want, we could make a presentation, all of us, and after that we can start to say ideas, and discussing. Okay.
Sure. Let's introduce Sebastian, who has been here yesterday, but maybe people haven't seen you around, Sebastian. So please tell us who you are and what do you do.
Hello everyone. I'm Sebastian Lemarchot. I'm co-organizer of the Liferay user group in France with Louis-Guillaume Durand, and I'm here to share with everybody some maybe idea about the future of Liferay user group.
Great, thank you so much. So I just wanted to have one question just to kick us off, just to start the thing. As I am I am co-organizer in the Liferay Brazil user group and Liferay Latin America user group. So those
Okay.
are two groups I'm working around here. And the first thing I would love to know is there any chance you're going to have in-person events at the beginning of the year? Do you plan to have that?
In France?
In France, in Spain, in
Nothing was planned for a physical event, but I have one member of our community has asked his question to me last week. So I have not an answer to give to him because I need to talk about this topic with Guillaume and Liferay because the problem is in France there are some other meetups which are in physics now, but there's more a problem of responsibility because I think the high point of crisis is beyond us, I think, in France, but it's the sanitary problem still remains. So is it really a good idea for a meetup to be physical? Because it's not a critical event. It's not so necessary to be physical regarding of the potential consequence. So I don't know, but it's a choice which be made by all the organizer and Liferay company himself because Liferay company is what the word is involved in a meetup. So I think there a kind of responsibility, maybe legal responsibility, to organize a physical meetup. So I think to begin, we need to have an official answer from Liferay company about that, and a global answer, and maybe a specific answer by country. Maybe have you some information about that, Anne?
Yeah, I don't have specific information on that, but that's it. That's interesting you bring that because we have so many different situations happening on different countries. For example, in Spain, how is everything going? Do you have already in person events?
Already not. We are starting thinking about it because, well, in our meetup, before all the pandemic, we always have time to networking to talk about the famous pizza. We always bring pizza to well, have a dinner and talk after the meetings. And well, in all meetups that we have are well, a lot of members remember that pizza. So well, the pizza is the element of that networking. But we are talking about we try, but now well, it depends on the place. In the office in Spain has a different certificate to control the air and the situation. So well, now they are studying how many people can go, and we are in that process because in the office in Madrid, many meetups were held in the office, not only the of Spain. So, well, we are working on that. Well, really in the office in Madrid are working in that, thinking to start, but well, step by step. I realize that well, the situation is a little bit complicated right now.
Yeah.
But I think in the future, when there will no more problem with pandemic, it would be good to continue to have some virtual meetup, because this was an opportunity for some people not physically available to in-person meetup to participate. So it it allowed to have a wide community in the event. And I think the main challenge for the next year is to find some ways to fill the gap between the in-person experience and digital experience. So I think we need to act like a digital event was the new norm forever, and we need to improve the digital experience for meetup events. And I think some platform like Work Adventure is a good way to do that. And I'm wondering if it was possible to generalize the usage of the Work Adventure platform for the meetup, because really Work Adventure platform is a good way to encourage one-to-one or little group discussion between people, sometimes between shy people. It's possible, like in a real life, because of the concept. So it would be good to use it for all local meetup. Do you think it was an possible, Anne? Maybe there are budget problem.
Yeah, I know that I know Olaf has more details on how we end up finishing our contract with Work Adventure, but I know we have a contract for this event, and we are also pitching it for other events in the future because it is really good and we're getting great feedback. So maybe this is something we can, because it is based, they charge based on the number of people connected. And
Okay.
I don't think there is a, I don't know, Alvaro, do you know if there is a free version with just small groups?
I think that the
I
work
don't
sector, I think
think
that's
so.
not.
But one thing we can do for sure is to exchange some of these platforms, because there are other, if not this one, there are others that
But
allow small groups of people, for free
Mm.
even. And
But
this
I
can,
think with a digital event, Liferay makes some what's the word in English? Some keep money, because there are not drink and food, okay, to
yeah,
provide. So because this money is enough to pay Work Adventure, yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
I agree that the digital experience now is to be. We are working to care more that experience, because before the pandemic started, it's true that, for example, in Spain, and I think in all labs, all live user groups, LUG, was all the session was in streaming too, and you can watch by YouTube or what else. But the interaction with the person that is watching my YouTube is only by the chat and something like that. It's not the same, and I think that now we in the future more longer or shorter time, but when we come to make the meetups face to face and can presential, I think that we continue with the stream, but different, as Sebastian said, the different way. We try that the person that is not is watching the stream feel that it's closer that you, and can interact more that well when you that before the pandemic that only you have the chat. No, you can ask. It wasn't the same. You write in the chat, yes, after you read, and you can answer, but the experience is different. And yes, I think that all of us are working to improve that experience. The way, well, I think
Yeah.
that is the key.
Maybe we can try some special rules. No chat, only only speaking during the digital event, because to encourage or maybe a little bit to force people to take I don't to talk.
Yep.
Yes.
To interact. Yeah.
And this will be a good option to our lags. It's possible that we can make
Yeah.
more strong to get, for example, one platform. I don't mind this or other.
Yep.
That would be good or okay for all of us, and we can get that we are talking about. That the people that can be in that office or that room that is the meeting feel are closer.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think the video games universe, like Work Adventure, is perfect for people are feeling more cool, casual, no pressure.
Yeah.
No,
And also,
Each time you use Zoom, you think, yeah, another session of work. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, and
Exactly.
this one thing that I like too much of so much of Work Adventure is it's very similar other event that you are walking and you cross with another person and say, "Oh, there is a lot of time that I haven't watched you." You start to talk about what else, the event or something different,
Yeah.
and this you can get that. You are walking, watching the map, and you cross with someone that there is a lot of time and you haven't talked with that person. And in Zoom, for example, on YouTube, you are watching that stream or a film or a Zoom, for example, in you are working and you have a Zoom session, it's the same. This is a little bit different, and
Yeah.
you are not tired or so tired to go in work adventure that a streaming traditional stream.
And I like the idea because this is something we can pitch for various user groups because we don't host events at the same time because you're in different time zones. So
Mm-hmm.
when something is happening in the Loop France, something is not happening in Loop Brazil. So we can use the same platform
Yes.
Yes.
because we're not
Yeah.
using at the same time. You know, we don't have to have that many accounts and things like that. Just
Yes.
one for
Yeah.
the user
Sure.
groups. Yeah,
Sure.
this can work. Yeah, I'm going to pitch that. I'll be the emissary of this
And
message. I like it.
if by coincidence, sometime maybe there will be in the same time maybe a session in Spain and in France. It can be we can have more several room, but
Yeah,
some people can just communicate at this time during between the two in the common area. So maybe some people can talk each other in different lug
Mm-hmm.
sometimes.
Yes. 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 It's perfect. This is the magic of this feedback. That we can get something that is the best for all of us. The
yeah.
idea of the community.
So we already have one idea for next year. Let's try to keep
Yeah,
work
using
adventure
work
To
adventure
work
for all
together.
Liferay user groups.
for Life
Working.
Razor groups. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I wanted to ask you all about is that I'm we've been starting the Latin user group. Unfortunately, because of the time zones, nobody could come. But we're just starting Life for User Group Latin America. It's in Spanish, and Life for Lug Spain's super support helped us create this one around here. But what I wanted to know is, do you generally plan the year? Like you plan the topics, the sessions? Do you have any tips on planning
For me, I have a stock of idea, a big stock of idea, and the main reason I don't know to say this in English. If there are no more sessions in Liferay France user group, it's not because we have not idea, etc. It's because we need time to organize that, etc. And it's additional work. And I have not always sufficient time to invest in the log, and I think it's something for Guillaume. But the idea is we have in advance tons of idea, and we pick up each time we have time to organize a new session. And what's the system? I have some Google Docs with a list of many subjects, many format, because there are different format of session, and I pick some idea each time we need to organize a new session, and we have the time to build the session. And I think for new Liferay user group, it's a good start point to look at the other user group. For example, in France, you can read the description of past event, and thanks to Google Translate, it's possible to have the the description in English. So you can just be a kind of copycat and just take the same subject. For example, each time there are a major release, it's a classical subject to have a session discovering a new version of Liferay, etc. You can make some session without specially designed speaker, with open discussion in the format like the current session we have now, but not but on a technical subject, but a technical subject about everybody has something to say about. Yeah.
In Spain, its meetup is split in 3 different areas. The first one is the news. There is any news, the new version, for example, or for example, this event is going to be closer. We give that they can call for papers, fill the form or the registration, something like that. After it is the session, the topic that we are going to talk about. And the last one is we add the last year is we talk about some topic about the community, about the LUG. It's something that we have made when we are working to feel that the members of the community know what we are working, and they can say, no, I don't like this, or I have an idea about that, and they can give feedback about it. For example, the last one, sometimes thing that's bigger. The last one was It's not very complicated. It's the description of the YouTube video, the streaming, the different sections, add more information about the speakers, links to the social networks, the link to the Liferay user group, Twitter account, something like that. No? And how to get the session, the topics. Well, I think that is the worst part to find the speaker, the both. We have one form to if someone want to give a session and they would say they give the topic and I want to talk about it. Great, but if they want that we find someone that they can talk about the topic that they want is okay too. They can write and say, I would like that you talk about APIs, for example. And well, if they can't, I try to find someone that can talk about. In this case, we are lucky because we have the office in Madrid, and there are a lot of members of the engineering team that is working in several areas in Liferay. So we are going to talk and say, please, can you talk about it? No, really, they don't give any problems. They always are open to collaborate. So in this case, we are very lucky for that. But always it's difficult to get topics and speakers. I think that is the most difficult part of all communities in general.
A classical topic in Liferay user group France is to give feedback from an event. So, for example, after each DevCon, there's a session, feedback from DevCon, etc. So maybe there will be very soon a session in Liferay France user group, feedback from Dev.cat, the Dev.24, sorry, and maybe for your next session for Lug Latina, it could be feedback from Dev.24, and maybe for the rest of the year, you can just create, make some localized version of the best talk, of the more popular talk of Dev.24. So you are a big stock of topic and session.
Yeah, we have a list.
Well, you can just each month make like for song a cover of of a session of Dev.24, and you're lucky because most of the speakers are Spanish, so it will be easy to have the original speaker to maybe.
I read the agenda and I was writing the Spanish people.
It can be an interesting exercise to ask some committee member to ask to talk about a presentation of Dev.24. So it will be good. There was the same topic covered, but by a member of the community.
Yeah, that's actually pretty great idea. And I want to know, Sebastian, how is your Spanish or Portuguese? Do you speak one of those?
Okay.
Because your talk was really good, and I want that.
I speak only French. It's my problem. And
Okay.
sometimes I try to speak English, but yeah,
No
it's my
worries, no
big.
worries.
I don't know the expression in English. Talon d'Achille. The language. I'm not very good at foreign language. I try to improve, but yeah.
No
I
worries.
don't speak not at all Spanish,
No worries. I
but
was just curious.
if you want to have fun at your meetup, I can try in direct my first word in Spanish during Lag Latina, maybe. But
Because the talk, let's revive the Liferay marketplace together, that even the Portugal organizer Fernando loved that, and he was okay, we need to talk more about that. It was really great and got people, interested in things like that.
yeah,
No
but
worries.
I was very frustrating because I have not really said what I would like to say because I'm very limited by my English. So yeah, it's a little bit frustrating, and well, yeah.
No worries, no worries. There's no such thing as you have to see all the Englishes with deal on Liferay, for example. We have so many people from all over the world. Your English is really good. No worries.
Uh, yeah.
Alvaro, you were saying?
I feel your pain, Sebastian, about the English. Me too. Oh well, really, me neither. But well, no, I don't know what we are talking about of language. I don't know. I don't remember the previous question.
Yeah, so we were talking about how to get people to present things. So this is always a challenge for all the user groups. We have the same thing. What's interesting here is that in Latin America there are two situations. The Brazilian user group, the Life for Brazil user group, has been, we're trying to revamp it. It worked a long time ago. We had this group and it was doing things, but for a long time they just stopped doing things, and we're trying to revamp it a little bit. Danilo Buzar, which is our co-organizer, and I were trying to do things, and it's taking a while to get things going. And on the other hand, the Latin America, it's a new one, and we are on the first meeting we had almost 70 people watching the first meeting, the first meetup. So people are really excited because this is new and this is something new, and that's why I wanted to know about your planning skills for life user groups, because I might use some ideas for our groups here, because there are so many different, and this thing with the speakers is the most challenging for us. Because I cannot, for example, I would love to try to organize like monthly meetings. So okay, we will have every first Tuesday of the month we're going to have a meetup, but I don't have anyone to talk like in March, for example. Right now I don't have.
But
So
you don't need to have a speaker if you choose to have a more open format. I don't remember the name, but the same thing was organized at the first day of DEF CON. What's the name of this format? I don't remember. Can you help me?
it's unconference, right?
Yeah, no, but
Unconference,
yeah, well, but yeah, and
something like
conference.
that.
But I think is there another more general word for that? For that, but we have already done some conference like session for like France, and it's a very interesting format because there are not there are no named speakers. Everybody can be speakers, so you just need to have a good unconference master to orchestrate all the stuff. But you ask people to propose a subject at the beginning of the session, and it's something that in France because duration is very shorter. You need to adapt the rules of a conference. So you need to reduce time for each phase and simplify the rules. But you can do some unconference, but with a main theme. Something like unconference about authentication and security, and conference about, and you just fix a very large theme, and inside this wide theme, everybody can propose some topic, and everybody can share those experiences. So it's a good way to
I like
engage interaction. And if you are afraid that nobody wants to participate to this format, maybe you can have just some of guest star from Liferay engineering team. So people will go essentially for this guest star, but in practice, maybe everybody will talk, and this guest star will not talk more, especially if he are briefed in this way. So it's just some attraction product. I think it could be a good format.
The conference I like so much. Yes, I like the problem that no one wants to talk. The solution that Sebastian said, I think that is great too. That it could be other members of Liferay that participate, and this way it's easier when someone has started. It's easier that you feel that you can participate or say something. So yes, I like.
Yeah, that's great.
Another format was lightning talk, the very short talk, 5 minutes. So it's not very hard to prepare for the speakers, and maybe some people can be okay to make a 5-minute presentation, very informal about some subject. So maybe you can think it's a more challenge to get 5 or 10 speakers than one, but it may be sometimes it's easier to find 5 speakers to speak 5 minutes each than find one speaker to speak during 25 minutes. So
yeah,
it was a format we have already experimented in Liferay user group France.
When you said the lightning talk, I remember one format we did once in Brazil. It was like because it was really close to DevCon, and we knew DevCon was going to be a lot of content and everything. So we did like something just to have some fun and to make people aware of the agenda for DevCon. We made a game night, and it was just quiz, questions and answers, and who has more points and things like that. Life related. Yeah.
When you speak about that, I remember we have done past months a quiz session for Liferay France user group with question, points, etc. And an Amazon gift card for the winners, and it could be a good way to attract some people.
Yeah.
Yeah, in channel Slack, Laura said, sorry, no, continue. Okay.
During en fait, the quiz was like a pretext because there were 10 questions maybe, but the session was very long, and after each question, we talk about the topic informally. So this is more a guide across the session, the night, and I'm not so. It make a kind of a rhythm in the session. There, each 10 minutes a question and a new topic to discuss after the question. And because there's a competition and there's maybe a gift card at the end for the winners, it's good to have more than one winners because so the people stay at the end because there's a surprise. So it can be an interesting format. Another good point is the timing, the time of the session in the day, because some people can't connect or use the late daytime to go to a session because there are family, etc. So it can be good to make some session at the lunch pause. During the lunch pause, we have tested that past months, and there was a lot of people to come during lunch pause, and not always the same as in the late of the day. So it can be tested to reach more people or maybe another people.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
In the when it's during the lunch pause, the time, the duration you need to be more short, because it's not possible to I have not the word. So all format could not be exploited during the lunch pause, but for traditional short presentation, it could be good.
Yeah, those quick talks, I think they might work better, right, on the lunchtime. Yeah,
but for lunchtime, I think it's better to have just one talk, short, with some question after, but the global session should not exceed 1 hour. It's the maximum.
Yeah, that's also a great idea. Sebastian, you're a machine of great ideas. Thank you so much. And
this is because I'm a co-organizer since many years. So sadly, I'm hard.
So we still have 4 minutes. Alvaro, you were saying something.
I was reading a message that Laura Prada write that in Latin there are shy people.
On Slack, Laura said that.
I think that in general, all of us, the main stopper is that we feel that we have made is not important, is not useful for others, and it's completely wrong. I understand that because I feel too so many times that when you share something and you tell to others that your idea, you are sharing your knowledge and the problems that you have found in that situation that other members can have in the future. It's possible that in that moment, no, but in the future, in 3 months, 4, whatever, you can, it's possible that you are working and you will say you have to make this, and it's surprise. It's exactly the same that Laura told us in the Latam. So
Yeah.
always is useful for anyone. Always. We always think that we are talking about must be very complex, that must be incredible technology, and all of us are working. Well, the real world was is not always working with that situation. So, really, Laura, you you have to talk now. Really, I'm joking, but really, it's important for others and it's very useful. Really,
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
and help
So
you to talk about it in public. Sorry, it's
no,
another
no.
idea that it's true. It's very common in the work that you have to work in public with clients, with partners, with other members of your team to explain what you made. And if you practice that situation, you after made it better. So it's not only only technology. Is more.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you so much again, Alvaro and Sebastian, for your time. Unfortunately, we're running out of time because we're going to have soon 7.4 overview. I don't know if Ben is already there, Turner. If he is, he can come up on stage already. But again, I believe we should talk more. Liferay user groups have so much to learn from each other. And I'm really excited for what's happening here in Latin America. And I'll be making sure to share more with you too and all the other co-organizers, the best practices we have around here too. Thank you so much again for your time and for your inspiration.
Thank you.
Hi,
Ben.
everybody.
Bye.
Hi.
Ben, hey, nice to see you.
How's things, everyone?
Hello, Ben. Jonas, you were okay. Now you're back. You're a little bit out of focus, but it's back now. Alvaro,
Looks
you
like
abandoned
now
us.
Ben, you're not a corpse on stage. You're actually here.
I really have to apologize for that. I was doing a trial run with Olaf, and when we were done, I just shut the lid on my laptop, and I assumed I'd log out. And no, I was just squatting on the stage for most of the day. So.
No worries. Louis Guillaume is representing today the corpses on stage. He's there just for the rest of the day, just to
there you go.
To make sure someone is around here all the time. So Ben is coming, is joining us for the 7.4 overview. So we've been talking and talking about 7.4 and the features and everything and deep diving. And Ben is here to show us a little bit more, right?
Yeah, it'll be the fastest run through all of the features of 7.4 that anyone's ever seen, I think. So.
That's great. Olaf, you're back.
Oh, I thought I'm automatically muted and gone. No, I wanted to just have the opportunity to step in and annoy Ben a little bit.
Please do. After my antics on stage yesterday, I deserve it.
So I believe you should be the one. Oh, okay, he's gone.
We can come back.
So you should be the one introducing Ben, Olaf, since you
should I or
here.
should no? Jonas could.
Okay, Jonas, you go.
Well, sure, I'll introduce Ben. Ben's been with Liferay for many years, actually. Yeah, started out. Well, it seems like I'm introducing all the sales engineers because Ben was one at one point as well. So yeah, starting out of Australia. Strangely enough, our Australian office for a while consisted of no Australians, and Ben was one of them. And so yeah, he's talking about 7.4 now. He's in sales enablement, and so he's the one that educates all of us about all the new cool stuff that's coming. So take it away, Ben.
Thanks, Jonas. I'll just share my screen. So thanks, everyone. Really appreciate you sticking around for this. I'm sure it's been a pretty long couple of days for everybody. This will be the new features overview for 7.4. I'd like to say it's everything that's new and cool, but maybe there's a couple of things I may miss. So it's almost everything. As Jonas said, I'm the manager for technical enablement at Liferay. I've been here 8.5 years. Started out as the sales engineer for Australia and New Zealand. And really in my current role, it's very much about interacting with the product teams, product management, engineering, and then ensuring that the sales engineers and other technical employees are enabled on the capabilities of our platform. So I've been working with 7.4 for a while, compiling what was originally the roadmap and now the feature overview. So I don't have a lot of time and there's a lot to talk about. So I'll try and get through this as quickly and as comprehensively as possible. First thing I wanted to say was, hey, everybody, welcome to the future. Bit of a running joke since I'm in Australia, it's always tomorrow compared to everybody else. So welcome to Friday. I know, as Olaf likes to say, good everything. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon for everyone that's out there. But anyway, enough of the fun, down to the business at hand. So for 7.4, we've organized all of the capabilities into these 6 release themes, and we're very much evolving the way that we build Liferay to ensure that what we're doing is delivering value. And doing so, what I mean by that is that we're understanding the problems that our users, our customers are trying to solve with Liferay and working to address those rather than just delivering a big bucket of features. So I'll run through each of these themes in turn as I go through the presentation, and obviously introduce all the new capabilities within those themes. So firstly, looking at optimizing digital experiences with data-driven insight. We've done some improvements to A/B testing. Obviously, we introduced A/B testing in the last release, or the release before that. We made some improvements to the way that you can define an A/B test based around a click target. Previously, you were limited to the types of buttons that you could select as a click target. Now you can select any clickable element. The content dashboard was also another new feature that we introduced in 7.3. For 7.4, we've refactored the UX. We've improved capabilities. And we also now provide data on documents as well as web content. So the content dashboard is where you can go to audit all of the content that exists within your system. And it is an instance-wide environment. So it's not just showing you content residing in one site. It's showing you content across all sites and all asset libraries. So it's a really powerful way of understanding whether you've got the right amount of content for the audiences that you have for your system. Previously, as I said, that only allowed you to surface web content articles. Now we've added documents to that. And we've also added improved abilities to filter on different categories and to switch categories around. The content performance panel, and there's some examples of that on screen. This is a new feature again from 7.3 that pops up on the right-hand side of the screen. And in 7.3, it was just on content displayed on display pages. For 7.4, it now displays on any content page and any widget page, as well as those display pages. And what it does is it surfaces information about the traffic and how traffic has been driven to the page, uses data collected from Liferay Analytics Cloud, and it surfaces that information for those different channels. So organic and paid search channels, direct access, paid search, social traffic, and referrals. And then for each of those traffic channels, you can then drill in a little bit further. So on the right-hand side, you can see that for social media, for this particular page, most of the traffic is being driven from LinkedIn and Twitter with some limited other results. So it's a really important tool for marketing users to get an understanding of how users are arriving at this content at this page, and consequently how they might want to go about improving things like search engine optimization, or improving the way that the page is being announced on those social media channels, if indeed, like in this example, social media was the primary traffic channel. The second bucket of functionality, the second theme for 7.4 is empowering practitioners to build rich digital experiences. And this, of course, is nothing new. We've been very much working on these capabilities for a number of years, incrementally adding new capabilities to make it easy to build those rich experiences. And another theme that you'll see sort of throughout the 7.4 release, and indeed from the previous releases as well, is improving the capabilities for doing more through configuration. We've always, as you all know, been very flexible and extensible through customization. We want to be able to support the non-developer users being able to build more and do more by themselves, and consequently free up those expensive and limited developer resources for doing the really important stuff. So a couple of improvements here. I've got 2 slides on features in this section. We've added an ability to integrate to Google page speed. So you simply configure the system with your API key for Google page speed. And once you've done that, you can run a page speed to audit accessibility compliance and SEO metadata for any given page. So from a marketing perspective, you can understand what needs to be changed to make this page more accessible to search engines, and obviously just from a general page builder perspective, what might be wrong from a user accessibility standpoint. We've also added the ability to modify the way that you map fields onto the SEO and open graph tags. So in 7.3, we added the ability to modify the information that's presented in the SEO metadata tags and the open graph tags. In 7.4, we can go even further than that, and you can combine multiple pieces of metadata from the page into each of those fields, and obviously those are then dynamically applied when the page is rendered. And another improvement around SEO is that we've given you the ability to control which hreflang tags are generated, so that you're only generating those tags for languages that the page is actually translated into, and that obviously also improves the search engine optimization. Thinking about documents and media for a second, one of the things that we've been able to do obviously for many years is incorporate video documents directly into documents and media. The new enhancement in 7.4 lets us link to documents that are already posted on other video sources. And then once we've done that, those documents then behave as if they were native documents inside of Liferay. So you can point to a document, a video out on YouTube, on Vimeo, on Facebook, or on Twitch, and then that document will behave and be managed as if it was native to Liferay. So a really good way of incorporating existing external content and making it available to site users as if it was native. And another minimal improvement here, but one that's probably quite beneficial, you can now manage the file name and the title of a document independently. So you don't have to worry about removing the file extension for a file to make the title more meaningful. You can keep that full file name with its extension, but then provide a more user-friendly title. The second page of capabilities for empowering practitioners, we now have a new account management widget. So for any of those of you that are familiar with our commerce capabilities, we've added the ability to define accounts for Liferay Commerce. What we've done with 7.4 is we made that a feature that's available across the whole platform. So we do a lot of work in B2B scenarios, whether those are commerce related or not, and being able to define accounts, addresses, specific important metadata for those accounts, assign users to those accounts, and so on, is equally valuable in something like a B2B self-service scenario as it is in a commerce scenario. So account management is now available across the platform. The video that was playing while I was just talking there was showcasing the new drop-down fragment. So this is another new fragment that we've added. As you can imagine, it lets you provide a drop-down. You can apply as many drop-downs as you like onto the page, and then each of those drop-downs provides a drop zone into which you can deploy anything you want. So it becomes very easy, really easy, in fact, to build sophisticated navigation menus and things like mega menus, because you're not just limited to the menu being a navigation menu in Liferay. The menu can now contain content, it can contain collections of content, it can contain any widget you like, as well as any other fragment, as well as navigation menu. So a really powerful way of building sophisticated mega menus without needing to write any code. We also have a new fragment to display menus, the menu display fragment. So that's kind of an equivalent to the existing navigation menu widget that we've had for many years. And then there's a number of other improvements around menus as well. One of them, the new ones, is that you can now add display pages to navigation menus directly. So if you think about the way that you structure a menu today, you can add pages, you can add URLs, and you can add submenus. This new option means that you can now directly link to content articles that are displayed through display pages by adding that display page, adding that friendly URL for that content article to your navigation menu. We also added the ability to create display page templates in asset libraries. So just if you like a missing capability from the previous release. We've added the ability to create display page templates for categories. And this is another really powerful set of functionality that may not seem that obvious at first sight, but it becomes really beneficial for sites that are really rich in content, where you don't necessarily want to create manually pages for everything. What you can do now is you could create a display page for a vocabulary, and now you can display all the categories in the vocabulary. You could display all the content that is assigned to each of those categories in a single display page in a collection, and then you can use display pages for the content items to display more detail for each of those items. So a really powerful way of building, building navigation, building pages for sites with lots of content. The last one on this page is around experiences. So obviously experiences is the mechanism we use to create different variations of a page to assign to different user segments. For personalization purposes, in 7.4, you can replicate existing experiences. So that gives you a much quicker way of jump-starting the creation of a new experience. And you can also create drafts of those experiences as well, so that you can review the experience before you publish it to live. Okay, third theme is creating a seamless B2B buying experience. So as you would imagine, this is primarily related to Liferay Commerce. We've done a lot of stabilization work with Liferay Commerce for Commerce 4.0, excuse me. And because of that stabilization work, there's not as much new functionality that's been provided, but the new functionality that is available is around the ability to now optimize product images for specific devices. So this is using existing Liferay capability that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, which is adaptive media. So now we've provided support for adaptive media for product images as well as content images. We've created a new set of capabilities called order conditions. And so from a seller's perspective, you can create different order conditions that apply different pricing, different discounts based on the type of order. So an example might be that you might have a normal stock order that provides, generous volume discounts. For example, you might provide your buyers with a urgent order when they're running low on stock, and that particular order condition doesn't come with as many discounts. It's a lot of flexibility in terms of how we can manage those different order conditions. And then the final new feature for Commerce 4.0 is that we've refreshed and improved the organization management widget. So that's our visual tool that lets you manage the relationships between organizations. That is now improved and refreshed. The next theme is enabling business users to compose digital experiences using low and no code capabilities. So again, kind of doubling down on what I talked about earlier on with providing the ability to do more with the platform without needing to write as much code. And Wes did a great example of that yesterday with objects. I'll talk about objects a little bit later on, but there's a lot of new functionality here to enable you to build experiences more easily without needing to write code. So first group of capabilities is around collections. We have now the ability to not only display a collection on a page, but provide the end user with the ability to manage the results in that collection a little bit. So you can search within a collection, you can filter within that collection. We provide pagination for large collection sets. We've also, from a developer perspective, we've allowed collection providers to expose configuration options to support pre-filtering. So now as a developer, if you're building your own collection provider, you can provide optional filtering capabilities that your page designers can then use when setting up that collection on the page, and consequently reuse those collection providers for different scenarios. And then the final thing related to collections is that we have a new category of collection providers called related items collection providers. And these are interesting in that they give us the ability to display collections for some other information that's already in context. So an example might be you could have a display page for a web content article, and then on that display page, you want to display a collection of all content that shares the same category, or all content that is related to that item. The new related items providers enable you to do that. So you can also do things like have nested collections, which provides some interesting flexibility as well. I'm sure you're aware that we've had the ability for many years to create free marker templates for web content articles. This capability has been extended now, and we now provide what we call information templates for multiple types of assets and information. So blogs, documents, categories, and assets, you can also now define free marker templates for, to give you much more control over the look and feel of the presentation of those pieces of information. And ultimately, we plan to provide those information templates for even more information types within the system. And then as a final improvement that we're planning on in this space, obviously that's still a developer tool. You're writing free marker scripts. We want to be able to provide a visual template builder, kind of, if you like, similar to the way that we build pages, where it's very easy to structure the templates for items, for information items and assets, but doing that without needing to write script at all. We've done some work around responsive pages as well. So fragments, you can now decide whether you want a fragment to display or not, based on the different viewports. Excuse me. So you might decide that you want to hide some information from devices with smaller screens. You can do that very easily. And we've also added adaptive media support for images in content and display pages, and that includes background images on those pages as well. The second set of capabilities around providing users with enhanced capabilities to compose digital experiences. This first group I put on here is really kind of collecting together some information that I talked about earlier on. So the ability to create more sophisticated, more flexible site navigation for content-heavy sites, that's kind of based around 4 different new features that we've added. So most of these I've already talked about: the ability to create display pages for categories, the ability to use related items collection providers, the ability to add display pages into navigation menus, and then the new drop-down menu fragment. So once you combine those capabilities together, it becomes much more easy to build site navigation for those content-heavy sites. We haven't forgotten about forms. We've added a couple of new form fields. So we have a new Boolean field, and we have a new search location field. And once search location is connected to Google search, the Google Maps API, you'll be able to use the search location fields in forms. And we've also added some additional properties for form fields as well. So a new type of property for text fields called confirmation fields. So a confirmation field, you'll all be familiar with. If you've, often when you're registering for a website, you need to put your email address in and then you need to confirm it, or you may need to put your password in and confirm that. We can use confirmation fields to do that. We can define masks for numeric fields for doing things like defining the layout of phone numbers or social security numbers. We can apply validation on dates, and we can also mark fields to be hidden. And that gives us an ability to have forms that a form designer can change very easily by changing the value in a field that then performs some action. Maybe it's used in a data provider to populate some other information on the field. And then 2 really important enhancements in this space: Liferay objects and search experiences. So I'll talk about those in a little bit more detail. Obviously, if you've been able to attend any of the sessions over the last couple of days, you'll have seen a lot of information about objects. So I'll kind of just summarize essentially what we're doing here. We're enabling non-developer users to easily create business objects and business applications using a no-code approach. So the way that objects works is that you define the data model for your object, the fields and the data types. You define the relationships between that object and any other custom object or even any other native object. So for example, the user object is something that's exposed through Liferay objects. So you can very easily create your own custom object that has a relationship to the user object. You can define custom views and layouts that will be used to present this object inside Liferay's administration. And then you can choose to deploy these objects in various ways to various locations. So it could be that you deploy the object to the site administration. It could be that you deploy it to instance administration and so on. Under the covers, what we're doing is we're building on Service Builder. And actually, when you create a new object, we're creating a new widget automatically. That widget is then able to be displayed inside administration. We're also creating a database table for storage, for persistence of the data that gets added to this object. We're creating a collection provider so that you can very easily surface the results of these objects or the entities, the actual data that you've collected. And we're creating headless APIs automatically so that you can interact with these objects through the headless APIs layer. Because we're using Service Builder, Objects is automatically integrated with all of our core frameworks. So permissions, workflow, publications, and so on, all available to you. So having defined the data model for the object, the next thing is to work out how you're going to capture information for that object. And the way that we've implemented the solution for this requirement is that we're able to map objects to forms. So in the forms world, we have a new storage adapter for objects. When you select that, you select the object that you want to map your form to. And as you start designing the form and deploying fields to that form, you're mapping those form fields onto the object fields. So that enables your end users to populate the objects. And then moving forward to how you present the captured data, because we have a collection provider generated automatically, it's very easy to create a collection display page or use the collection display fragment to display the resulting records. And then once you click into those, we can then make use of display page templates and all of the capabilities around fragments and display pages to actually render that information to the end users. So really powerful way of creating those business applications. No code needed at all. A lot of flexibility, a lot of capabilities offered with 7.4, and a lot more capabilities coming along with the next releases as well. As I said, Objects is integrated with all of our frameworks, so you could attach a workflow to the submission of those objects. You can also trigger actions from those objects when an object record is created, is updated or deleted. You can trigger an action. So a really powerful way, as I said, of building out those business applications, and of course, letting you build relationships between native objects and custom objects, and indeed adding fields or modifying the layouts of those native objects as well. The next set of capabilities which we're pretty excited about is search experiences. Search experiences, and in particular blueprints. Effectively what we're doing here is we're providing a visual query builder that lets you really easily unlock the power of Elasticsearch. So we're providing a way of building really sophisticated Elasticsearch queries without you needing to understand the structure of those queries, the way that those are coded. And the way that a blueprint works is that you can add as many elements to that blueprint as you like. And we give you 40 or so different elements with the product. And also there's the ability, or there will be the ability, to build your own elements. And so you can do things like boost the results based on certain criteria. You can hide information from a set of search results. You can even personalize search results. So you really have the opportunity to extend on the basic capabilities that are provided by Liferay Search in a really powerful way. So you can build as many blueprints as you want, and then you can assign those blueprints to any search page that you have in your system. Okay, moving on, I've got a couple more sections to talk about. Reducing the cost and effort to launch and maintain digital experiences. So we've done a lot of work around assets and pages. We've used or made use of the form builder that we use for forms. The same form builder is now used for building and authoring web content and document types. So it's used for authoring the web content structures or authoring the document types. And then it's also used by content authors as they're creating content articles or uploading documents. We provided the ability to do machine learning based automatic translation. And that is for web content articles and also for content pages as well. So we've given you the ability to translate using Google Translate in this release. In later releases, we'll provide support for other translation services and indeed your own services. So a much more efficient way of enabling the translation of content. And we've also improved a little bit the translation processes management so that you have a better understanding of any translation process that's currently underway. We made some enhancements to the way that site templates are propagated for performance and flexibility. We've also, and this last one here around the CKEditor-based balloon editor. This is something that we're going to be using in the platform in later releases. Currently, it's in the system. We're not exposing it through any of our any of our WYSIWYG editing capabilities, but it is available for developers who might want to use it for their own applications. And then some more enhancements around documents and media, in the same way that you can apply expiry dates for web content articles, you can now do the same thing for documents. We added some ease of use improvements to the item selector, so that if you're adding documents to say, for example, a web content article, you can now create document folders dynamically or directly when you're doing that upload. And just in terms of video and audio previews, we used to use Zoogla. That's been deprecated, so we now use FFmpeg for doing those audio and video previews. Some more capabilities. Obviously, with each release, we improve the version of Elasticsearch that we support. So with 7.4, we support Elasticsearch 7.15.x. We made some improvements to the way that search indexing is carried out. One big change is that the Liferay Enterprise search capabilities are now bundled with DXP. So all of those additional capabilities that you would traditionally have had to go to the Liferay Marketplace to download and to update, they're part of the core. They'll be patched and enhanced with the Liferay DXP core release. In terms of theming, we've done some performance optimization for CSS to make sites work a little quicker, and we've also isolated the admin styling from themes. So one of the challenges that a lot of people faced with building custom themes is that you might change some styling and break something in administration, and that will no longer be the case. There's some improvements in staging. So we've added the ability to add some additional configuration options to improve performance. And we've also added support for asset libraries in staging. And still more. So Java developers have for a little while been able to specify the target platform for dependencies rather than having to include each individual module. JS developers can now do the same thing. And we also added the ability to invite new members to a team for publications, and also collaborate through adding comments on those publications. Which leads us to our final theme, which is using Liferay as the foundation in your interconnected enterprise landscape. So again, a whole bunch of new capabilities here as well. As I'm sure you know, we've been improving our headless API families for the last couple of releases. With 7.4, we have new APIs for management of users. So users, user groups, organizations, accounts, and roles. And obviously that's not just retrieval of that information, it's creating new users, it's updating users, and so on. We also have new APIs that enable you to access pages and experiences through those APIs. And our APIs now expose some additional information. So for example, they'll expose the available languages for both creation and retrieval. You can access versions of content, you can access drafts of content, and you get more information about permissions that are available to different objects. And then from a security perspective, we've improved the way that OAuth 2 registered apps work. So we can define apps as trusted. You can set a configuration flag to enable users to tick a box to say, remember their device. And you can also revoke all registrations in one go. And then some improvements around SAML attribute mapping, support for OpenID Connect requests that are going through a proxy. And perhaps if you're interested in multi-factor authentication at all, this final one is adding the ability to support FIDO 2.0 security keys. So that gives you support for those external dongles that generate the time-based one-time passwords, but also for things like fingerprint detection and facial recognition through cameras on smartphones. So any of those devices that support FIDO 2.0 can now be used for multi-factor authentication. And then the last new set of capabilities, we have the ability now to define accounts across the platform, not just for commerce. So you can define accounts, you can define account users and account groups, you can add addresses, assign roles to those, track tax IDs, and so on. We've added support for click to chat and also support for DocuSign. So we now have some really simple ways that you can go into the platform. We've supported 10 different click to chat providers. So all you need to do is go into administration, configure the API key or the login details for your chosen chat provider, and now you can support click to chat. And you can even support multiple different providers in the same environment. So you can have, for example, maybe you want one click to chat provider for your public facing website and you want another one for your self-service portal. It's easy to do that and is fully supported. And then we also added support for DocuSign. So if you need to make use of electronic signature processes within Liferay, again, you simply configure the system with the DocuSign credentials, and now you can make use of DocuSign within your Liferay applications. And then finally on this slide, obviously we've had the ability to capture audit information for many years. You can now choose to send that audit information to the system logs, so that you can actually do things like matching the user that was interacting with the system at a given point in time when maybe there was an error message or another activity that was carried out. And then the final thing that I wanted to talk about was remote apps. So this is one of the capabilities that we added in 7.3, but we're enhancing, or we've enhanced in 7.4, provides you the ability to use JavaScript applications that are either hosted outside of Liferay, or maybe even the JavaScript files are stored in Liferay's documents and media. And those applications are then deployed as a widget in Liferay. They're able to interact with Liferay because we've built a JavaScript client SDK. So those applications can inherit the styling from Liferay. They can understand if the user is logged in, and if the user is logged in, they know who that user is. They can do things like redirecting to new pages. They can load URLs. So for example, they can load REST APIs or GraphQL queries. So you can build applications. You don't need to customize Liferay at the back end. You do that in your favorite JavaScript framework. And then there's no deployment as such at all. You're simply registering that application with Liferay. In 7.3, we let you do that through an iframe approach. In 7.4, we've given you a new way of doing that as well, which is to create custom elements or web components. And obviously that gives you a better user experience and a better integration with the application. And I think I'm right on time. So we probably don't have time for questions here on the main stage, but I'm happy to go next door to the pub. And we'll find a Jitsi in. If any of you do have questions, I'll be more than happy to take those there.
I have the questions open from Slack, and it doesn't look like there is something here, but first of all, thank you, Ben. I guess we should give everybody a little bit of time because that was definitely a rush of stuff.
Yes,
so where
indeed.
in other cases, we told everybody, hey, prefer anything with curly braces, that is, prefer the developer environment over slides. And in your case, we said, well, this is actually a nice wrap up because we couldn't get every topic covered today. And so at least we now spoke about, I can't really say all of the topics because most likely you presented just a tiny little bit of what is actually new. So just the most interesting stuff. I know that from your department, there are notorious slide decks which cannot be presented as a whole slide deck because they're so vastly content rich that you really have to choose. So with that, thank you for this one. And now we see, let me start with my own one. I made a joke in between when you said, oh, there's a configuration option for staging to make it performant. And I was like, oh, your staging is not performant. Did you configure it to be fast? So you need to set that switch. Why isn't that default? That was basically just what I thought of. Are you aware what kind of configuration options those are?
I am, but do I have all the details on the tip of my tongue? Probably not. It's some configuration options to enable you to decide what level of information is sent over with staging, whether it's everything or whether it's just a subset. And it's something that you may choose that you need in some circumstances, but not in all. So that's why it's not just been turned on by default, but it will give you the ability to control a little bit more at a little bit more granular level what information is propagated in the staging application.
Yeah, then I understand that that is not worth making a joke about that. But prior to that, it was like, oh, configuration to make it fast. Staging.performance equals fast.
Yeah, you can have staging.slow or staging.fast depending on your preference.
Yeah, right. Bryce is asking, nested collections, how would that work?
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky one to get your head around, and I'm not going to do a good job of showcasing it really, but so one of the examples might be you can create display pages for categories. So what that means is that you would display it, your display page would be for a category, and then you might display a collection within that, which is all of the content articles that have been assigned that category. So now you've got a list of all the articles that match a category, but then you might say, I want to see all of the related assets for those content articles. So you could deploy, you can actually drag a collection display fragment into a collection display fragment, and then you can choose a related items collection provider, i.e. related assets. So you could actually have that list of related assets associated with the individual content articles that are associated with the category. I don't know how many levels down the system allows you to go, and finding a legitimate use case. It's one of those ones that's a little bit difficult if you don't have an immediate problem you're trying to solve. But I've seen some demos that the WEM team have done, and it's a pretty powerful new feature.
I had one epiphany just when you said a related asset item provider that needs to be put into something. If anybody at Liferay ever says something about the German language where we have words like this day in, day out, there's no more opportunity for that. What's that? Related asset item provider. That's one word. So now you understand why we understand long words.
Yeah, related items collection providers.
It's something like that, yes.
And yes, in German, that would all be one word. There'd be no spaces at all.
It is one word. Jonas, correct me if I'm wrong. That is one word.
In English?
In Liferay.
In Liferay, yeah. It's one word in Liferay.
See? And everybody understands it.
Exactly. Makes perfect sense.
So, another question from Bryce. What does this mean?
Yes.
No, he continues with display pages and navigation menus.
Okay, so think about a navigation menu. Generally, you want that to enable your users to navigate to a particular page. Obviously we already had the ability to let you put a URL in there. So if you wanted to provide a navigation item that was actually a page on a different site, on a non-Liferay site. And we also had the ability to have submenus, which essentially are placeholders for other pages to reside. You can now link directly to the display page of a content item and add that to a menu. So as an example, you might have a content article on Liferay.dev that is announcing Dev.24 for 2022, and that's rendered through a display page. If you wanted to add that as an item in a navigation menu, previously you would have to have done it via URL. Now you can add that display page directly to the navigation menu, just giving you more flexibility about how you define navigation menus.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, that makes sense. Yep. Okay, now let's see an overview over the plan. Should we send you over? Where are we? And do you have the overview? I'll I'm currently trying to get it.
Yeah, the agenda. It's almost at the end. Thank you so much again, Ben. If you can be available at the pub, anybody can go there and talk to you a little bit more to understand some of more details about the overview. Thank you so much.
Absolutely
And
no problem at all.
to continue and to finish and to continue, it's the last talk of Dev 24. And I must say, this one is a really nice one because it is also a Liferay user group meeting for Brazil. We're just organizing a meeting right now. So, is there any Brazilians on the audience? Please let us know on the chat on YouTube or on the chat here on Slack. Okay. So
And while
Diego,
they do, Diego, come on stage, please.
yeah, exactly. Where is Diego? I think he's coming. Olaf goes off the stage to make him aware of that. There is a delay and Diego is coming. There it is.
He's on.
He's trying to find the best position on the stage.
Hello.
Hey Diego, how's everything going?
I'm doing well, and you?
Well, really well. You are the last presenter of Dev 24. You're finishing the 24-hour content stream.
Oh, is that great achievement? I think.
No pressure.
Yeah,
Okay.
no pressure at all. Let's just make sure we end up well. All other presentations were really good. Just kidding. So Diego, I loved your introduction, your mini biography, and I must say you told us feel free to choose two of those topics to present me, but I will have to read all of them to present you because they're too good. For real, they're too good. So Diego Nascimento is from the Brazilian team. He's a software engineer, works in front end infrastructure, right? Am I right?
Yes.
Okay. And for his introduction, he said, "I used to take plane pictures in the past. There are dozens of my plane pictures in Brazilian media, and that is amazing because there actually are a lot of plane pictures took by Diego on the press in Brazil. That's really great. He has one cat, and her name is Fiona, just like the Shrek princess, the Fiona. And she also has an Instagram account, which is at Aventuras de Fioninha. So I'm going to put that on a chat somewhere, so everybody can follow Fiona. He loves riding bicycles and knowing everything around it, everything around bicycles, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's the man that knows everything about bicycles, which is helpful, I think, because if it's something
Yeah.
breaks, right? You have to.
Yeah. I can change the tire. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And Diego is addicted to random knowledge, specificities in some spacecraft parts, languages, regional music, third world economics, and things like that. So this makes you really great speaker for a conference like this. And for your topic, since you have to show us some specificities of what's happening behind the scenes.
Random
Diego,
knowledge is a really good thing to talk about. Just you can find something to talk about. Sorry to interrupt, man, but yeah, I
no,
mean,
go
I,
ahead.
I love doing that too. So go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have infinite things to talk on a bar, for example.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I now it's a shame we're not in person because we could open a beer and just keep the conversation going until the end of the day, right? Diego is
Rest
going
assured, we will do that.
yeah, at the pub, right
Yes.
west, right on the left. Oh, on the left, yeah. So reducing complexity by using pure CKEditor for enrich text experiences. Diego, this stage is yours.
Nice. I created, first of all, I created a presentation on my VS Code because the idea was to just use the code editor to present things. And yes, But at first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Diego, and I work at Liferay for front-end infrastructure team. I worked in several projects inside this team, like Clay, Senna, and internal front-end infrastructure of DXP. And recently, I'm working on a very interesting epic that is we are replacing Alloy Editor with pure CKEditor version, and it's being amazing. So, as a streamer for today, I will be presenting why we are deprecating Alloy Editor and we are migrating to a strategy by just using directly CKEditor 4. The process, all the challenges I had and your team had, the methodology involving migrating internal use cases of Alloy Editor pure CKEditor 4, opportunities for the future of rich text content editing in GXP. So first, a little bit of story. I don't know how long you are in Liferay environment community, but we released Alloy Editor a few years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. And during this time, CKEditor has a very limited API to create a more complex editor, like the medium experiencing of rich text editing. So at this year, I think it was 2014, 2015, mostly the front-end members created a new editor called Alloy Editor that is on top of CKEditor, but it uses React to render the toolbar and the things. And it was nice to us. Most part of your web content management, editing, experience, blogs, Wix editing are depending, or this editor came by default on the XP. But after this time, during this lapse of time, CKEditor 4 was released. I think at this year it was CKEditor 3 or something like it, and introduced many features that can help us to create a pure balloon editor. That's the same name of Alloy Editor. That they created some things, some very useful features like balloon toolbar. Balloon toolbar or floating panel is a plugin for CKEditor 4 that it introduces the basic functionality of a toolbar or of a floating toolbar, and it was very helpful for us. It can be very helpful for us for creating your own floating toolbar, balloon editor, the same thing. Also, they created contexts that is very useful for creating multiple of these toolbars. For example, we have not just a toolbar for text editing, but we can have different ones for links, for images, and those toolbars can be different. They can have different buttons, and this feature helps a lot when needing to managing the hiding of these toolbars and when which toolbar should be rendered, and it's awesome for us. Also, they are offering now a React component for CKEditor. That's very nice for us to have already defined React component that is following the best practices from the CK source team, that we can extend this component and then create your own React component of the balloon editor and offer to customers or for internal usage to people use not just by tags, but using React. And also, they increased a lot the accessibility. And we are having too much benefit from it because we are mostly using pure plugins of CKEditor. But okay, I'll introduce a thing here, is because another thing that we are sunsetting Alloy Editor usages here internally on the product is because Alloy Editor can be very hard to maintain. If you, I think you can see here better. As you can see, I'm ASCII artist. Here you can see a basic architecture of Alloy Editor, and you can see here the toolbar and the buttons are rendered by React, but inside, below these components, they are using pure CKEditor things. And to make this part, this CKEditor part, this core part, communicate with this part here in React, it's a pretty complex. And also we needed to create more customizations, and we also needed to touch the CKEditor source, a lot of code to make it work. And also we needed to make too many changes, and we don't get rid completely of developing just using pure CKEditor things. So we are just increasing the complexity by using this editor, and we are solving that now. So okay, so what was really necessary for us for creating a new balloon editor? First, we created a plugin called Balloon Editor. Yes, it can be a bit obvious, but we are just wrapping the native floating toolbar plugin from the CKEditor, and we are customizing it and extending it to make your customizations and to attend all the necessities that we have. Also, I think we already have this. We already had this scheme for the editor called monolexicon that follows lexicon things, but we have for classic editor, that is a editor, a very basic editor, as you can see here, where you can't see any functionality like this one, where you can just click and then change using a balloon. And as you can see, we already have some parts of these styles here shared in the solution, but we needed to make some fixes, very small fixes to achieve it. Also, we created some basic components to be inserted in this new balloon plugin, like some buttons that will integrate and have some useful things that can be called externally. I will show to you guys later how to use these components and how they can be very useful. Also, we created the link toolbar and the table toolbar. These components was the more challenging ones, because we were creating and we are handling with multiple toolbars, not just the table toolbar. Table toolbar is like the one toolbar, but when you click on this table toolbar, it will open another toolbar containing the number of the things, and also you can edit things here, and you can style as you can, and it was very complex to add all these iterations. Let's be here. And the same can be applied to link toolbar that have not just one toolbar, but multiple toolbars that can be handled. Another challenge that we had was to create this insert button. I think you already knew, but on blog experience, for example, on Alloy Editor, we have a plus button that can be in the left side here or in the right side, and it shows to us some quick actions, for example, to open or to insert a video, to insert an image, to insert a table or a separator, for example. And it was very challenging to implement it, but we reached a good pattern and we are improving. So what's the status of this feature? You can use Balloon Editor today from 7.4, so on, by just importing the React component called Balloon Editor from CKEditor web module, or you can use the tag Liferay editor and give the key for Balloon Editor, and the editor will be rendered there. However, this feature is still like in testing, because we are migrating some use cases in blogs and wiki in order to stabilize all the things, because we are finding more use cases, more personalizations that these modules are doing, and it is being very nice because we can not just polish and test and improve the stability of the editor, but we can review some features, for example, like the share button that we have, the share via Twitter button that we have. Uh, After some conversations with the product manager, we saw that this button can not be necessary because nobody was using it, and it was very great for us because we are not just migrating things, but we are improving your current products. And about this migration on blogs and on wiki, so which methodology are we using? First, we evaluated if this functionality is already available on Alloy Editor, and we study how it was implemented, because sometimes it just uses React to just call a command inside CKEditor, and then we can check how it was implemented. Sometimes it can be useful, but for others not. Also, if we cannot find a way to reuse the Alloy Editor, some source from Alloy, some idea of plugin from Alloy Editor, we made a CKEditor plugin. We can check your plugins for the classic editor. That was the experience that I showed to you guys previously on web content management. And if we don't find any way to reuse to not review, to not share the same idea that we found on these cases, we created from scratch. I will show to you guys how I implemented very quickly here while Ben presentation was just testing it, and it was very nice to see because I created a very simple plugin called Timestamp. You can see the implementation of this plugin on CKEditor for documentation, but it's pretty the same thing. I will just introduce you some concepts here about creating a plugin. First, you need to call a name. A plugin, I think, for me, it's just like a file that you define, like a class or a file that you can define a name for it to import this thing in another plugin. And then we can add a command. This command is like an event listener that you can register this event listener and then apply a callback for CKEditor internal things. We pass the code that will be executed on this callback here inside this exact function. And also, in order to make this this plugin to be rendered inside the Balloon editor, we, instead of using the native add button, you can use add balloon to bar button. However, it requires a plugin called UI button that we created for it, and it was very nice. to see it working. And also, you need to import here, as I already saying, and you can pass by editor config contributor or by citing a JSON file, a simple JSON file, to the, for example, to the text toolbar here. So I can show to you guys how this command will look like. So when I click in this command, just checking the source code here again. When I click on this button called timestamp, the HTML inside the editor will be this here, containing the date. And let's see. I used the bold icon because it was more quickly to remember to find, but you can use lexicon items or you can personalize your own PNG files. And voila. Let me replace all the content with the content from this command here. So yes, it's working. Okay, and also we have some opportunities for the future when doing this epic. That once this migration ends and once this functionality is very stable, we will be working on providing more configurations, not just by editor config contributors patterns, as you already know, but in different ways, because we are trying to go in a model-less world where we can just pass, for example, a path to a plugin file, and this plugin file can be automatically attached to the editor, for example. But we have this epic here to research and to improve this way to extend things, and also not just the module last thing, but we'll be working in a more configurable JSON and UI to allow people to add new toolbars and customize them easily. That's it. Oh, I remember one last thing. I think you may notice that I'm using ES5 here. It can be a bit weird. However, we don't support Alloy at CKEditor 5 because they changed the license, and we can not have ES6. However, the ES5 pattern is pretty easy. For the most part of plugins, you will not need to know everything, and you can just place a button and add a command with a callback with the thing that you want to change in the editor, and then attach this button inside the editor, inside the balloon toolbar, and that is.
Thank you so much, Diego, for your presentation. And is Jonas there? Hey, Jonas.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. I was just checking for questions. There was not a question on Slack, and not on the YouTube stream also. Neither on the YouTube stream. So we're good to go. Olaf, any comments?
Still sorting myself. You're even checking the YouTube stream comments. There's probably not at all any, because we didn't really give it away.
Yeah, exactly. But
now I'm talking to myself from the stream in the background.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen. No, great. Thank you, Diego. As usual, I only got parts of the presentation, so I do have something to do after this all is over, which means I'll have to live through it all again, but this time just with the content and not with anything that's happening in the background. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that and to get organized. Where is this? You know, I was really happy to have that many screens, but that many screens combined with that many tabs open, they don't make it better.
It was a bit confusing. Have too many tabs open, yes. But I think I cleaned up all the tabs that I have. I think it was around 50 or 40. But I cleaned up the tabs for the presentation.
I did that this morning, and then there's
Oh.
this, and then there's that, and then you open a new one that is already open elsewhere. That just happens.
Yeah.
I end up using a separate browser for presenting, one that's actually clean of tabs, and that's my presentation browser.
Yep. Okay, so no, we don't have any questions here. And instead of sending you to the pub for any questions that somebody might want to ask you one way or another, I would say let's not send you to the pub alone, but let's do some housekeeping here for Dev.24. Because you did a good job of being the last presenter, even though we pressured you before with the words "no pressure." Closing such an event is always hard, especially then being the last one. And if somebody tells you you are the one standing between us and a glass of beer, then it will be extremely hard. However, I mean, Ben, I've talked to him. He's Australian. He would probably never say no to a beer. Let's go with stereotypes here. But he's just woken up, and I'm not sure if he already had breakfast or not, and if beer counts as breakfast in Australia. So here it is not quite appropriate to talk about this at the end of the day or about any beverages, any kind of beverages at any time of the day. But nevertheless, I will have a glass of wine once we are done, but we are not done yet. There is a big topic that is close to my heart. When this idea came up of Dev.24, it was a wild idea, and first execution that we had last year was a lot of fun, was just a YouTube stream, and this year it was wilder. It was this whole world where we have learned a lot, and I really want to make really good use of the work adventure world. But it all wouldn't have happened without so much help from everybody working behind the scenes. And Anne is sitting here. She's one of the people who are working tirelessly on whatever. So literally, I felt like, let's give a spark somewhere, and someone, Anne, will take care. And that is such a luxury problem to have, or such a luxury to organize such an event, that I can only say, after events like this, I always feel privileged to be able to call this work. So while it is work, it is actual work. So I feel like I've been standing at my standing desk for 12 hours. That's probably because I did. And a 12-hour shift is, there's preparation, so there's more. This could not have been done without, number one, Anne, without Louis Guillaume, whose corpse we still see here on stage.
On the stage.
So he left his body here, as you know, and without everybody else in the in the works. Jonas is here as co-moderator. I said that this morning. I shouldn't start mentioning names because I will forget someone. We've had Alvaro there. We had Wes. helping us out. We had Rose helping us out. We just used various people from the team, just asked the design team, hey, can you help us doing stuff? And not to forget everybody who presented, because my call to action to everybody was basically, is there anything you'd like to brag about? Because you have worked on stuff for a year, or within the last year. Diego, you probably can talk about that. It was like, what have you worked about? What have you worked on last year? And can we know about it? Because documentation typically lags. So why not sit together with someone and get an explanation for this? This, number one, is a resource for everybody. Number two, helps the people who are actually documenting by giving them use cases. And the selfish Olaf, it helps me doing my job because I'm supposed to know all of this stuff. So that is the selfish reason why we started Dev24. It's all about me, because who would I think of than the center of the world, right? And as I've learned, that's only the center of my world, unfortunately. Everybody else has a different center of the world. So gotta live with that, right, Anne?
You cannot be the center of everybody's world, Olaf.
Unfortunately, yeah, I very much regret that.
Yeah, but thank you so much. It was a great opportunity. I loved doing this, and this world of work adventure is really great. It was really fun putting this together and discussing ideas, and that was the really great part. Doing the 24-hour content stream, it is just a detail on all the work we had to put this together. It was really fun working with everybody, and I would like to thank Diego in the name of all presenters that came here on those 2 days. Thank you so much for sharing, because yay, yeah, group hug. Because it is so important for our community to have the spaces where we just came here and talk, and we had Ask Me Anything sessions, we had fun sessions, we had deep dives and things like that, and it is so important to make our community thrive. So thank you so much for sharing. That's amazing.
I got to add one more, which is basically, now that we had an actual budget for this event. Last year, the budget was a stack of T-shirts and international postage. And this year we had an actual budget for this event, which includes the work adventure stuff, because we are using the hosted and paid for version. Because why would we not pay for software? I totally understand what is behind the problem of operating software. So that's this. And the pitch went to Brian Chan. So thank you, Brian, if you're watching this. Most likely not, because the kids are now back from school. And well, there's just a thank you for just approving this and for helping us conducting it. There were a couple of people who were looking at this platform as well. For example, if we have the next DEF CON still virtual, let's hope for the best. Give us feedback. What did you like on this platform? What could we improve if we use it again? And I gotta say, I got somebody asking me, it's like, hey, there's this one room which I cannot reach, and there's this Hugo, and he might, he might have a problem because he's there all day. If you see that, that's the signature of the guy who has built this world. That is Hugo. So he had his little signature on the map. That's the solution for all of this.
And also, let's not forget our sponsor, Yusu, for helping make this happen, right?
Absolutely, yes. It looks like the guys from USU are already in bed. That's why I don't see them right here, and that's why I almost forgot about them. So thank you for reminding. That is an awesome sponsorship, because we basically told them this is a non-marketing event. You won't find a lot of business opportunity here, because we all want to know how it's being built. Nevertheless, you can present yourself here, and they did, and they called us up on it. And they said, yeah, we'd be happy to support this, because like all kinds of these events are always fun. Thank you for that reminder. I'm really happy. As I said, I'm really happy to be able to call this work, and I'm also happy to be able to call this a day.
Yeah,
Or should you
One,
call
one,
this
one more
2
thing.
days?
Sorry. Do we have a winner on the photo thing?
Yeah, we might have to take a look on that.
Yes, we'll take a look on that. Indeed.
Let me share my screen and let's take a look on the submissions we received.
Oh, and then let me say, if you still have photos, screenshots from any amazing place here, quickly write a caption before and scroll down to that position. So the call is still open.
So you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
The Slack channel.
Oh, yep. There is a Slack with not in dark mode that exists.
Yeah. Marketing people, we do that sometimes. My Liferay one though is on dark mode. The community one is on light mode. Yeah.
Okay.
So Jonas added one photo. This was just an example, right? Just to showcase what the competition was. And let us take a look. Oh, you said about Hugo. And here it is. Alvaro just... Oh, can I zoom that? Okay. So Alvaro spotted Hugo, and that's why he was concerned. Hugo was on the bathroom all the time, on the toilet. And that's
where I got the quote. I remember that I got it somewhere. See, that's my short-term memory.
Neo was playing some serious piano around there. That's also great. Let's see. Okay, so until now we have Alvaro, who has 7 reactions, right? I did one. Nobody liked that. I was just window shopping, but okay, no worries, because Alvaro then came with the perfect place on the map to spot some stars with a telescope.
The window shopping has 4 votes.
Yeah, 4 votes. Alvaro with the stars had 5. Alvaro again on a hammock, right? Is that right, Jonas, in English? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a hammock.
That's a hammock. So Alvaro resting on a hammock, 4 points. Oh, there it is, Martin, 6 points. He's on the lead now, and he said, "Okay, let's take a look at the caption here. Bad puppy.
That needs to be zoomed in. Yes.
You pooped on my favorite carpet. Now I will have to hunt another bear." And that's it. So, okay. He added another thing here. So yeah, great one. This one is the winner by until now. Let's take a look at the others. So we have Alvaro again. His head is on fire. He found one of those small glitches on the map. 4 votes. Alvaro is dancing. Alvaro really took this seriously. Alvaro, are you around? Come on stage, please. And he was dancing. I believe this is Spanish Ray, right? Spanish culture Ray. And that's it. So from what I see right now, Martin is our winner with 7. Yeah, that's it. Martin Dominguez is our winner with 7 votes. This is the winner of the competition. Thank you so much for participating. Thank you so much, Jonas, for the idea. That's really great. And it was really fun. Let me stop sharing my screen. There it is.
Yep. And the message is just in at the end of that chat. Jamie wrote 7.4 CE is just out. 7.4 GA4 and Commerce and so on. DXP was out, I think, yesterday. So there we have it. We are on both release dates with a 2-day event. What better could it be? This is just on time with all of the new features. And if Brian is right that there is a new release in 2 weeks, then I would say see you in 2 weeks for the new release and Dev.24 about the new features of the next GA.
So not only you'll be happy to call this work, but this is going to be your only work, right?
Yes.
To have Dev.24 sessions forever.
Indeed, yes. So with that, let's call it a day. That is a day, a night, an evening, a morning, wherever you are. And just like yesterday, let's just move over to the pub And if you want to, you can join us all in the biggest Jitsi ever that we have there, which is meant in terms of the area, because no matter if you sit on the dining table or if you sit in the far northwest corner in front of the fireplace, that's all the same Jitsi. There are other Jitsis in the pub, but those two areas are actually the same Jitsi, and with that, they're the largest Jitsi that we have in this world. So join us in the pub. As always, during this event, food and drinks are completely for free, and we assume you really like them. Look in your fridge and see what you have there. Open whatever you have and whatever you want and whatever is appropriate for the time of the day and for your nutrition plan. Anne, did you want to say something? Now we'll have to count for you.
Yeah, damn it! I almost got it. Damn it. One for me. No, just one thing. I was going to suggest we have a group selfie on the dining table, but I believe Louis Guillaume is really dead on the stage, so we have to make it happen here. So
you'll be the loner on stage. Yeah, let's have a groupie on stage, selfie, or have a group photo on stage.
Oh,
please,
hey, he woke up.
Everybody that is here. Oh, Louis Guillaume just moved. Oh God. Run! He's coming for us. No. Okay, so everybody that is still here, please come up on stage. You're going to appear on the live stream. We can cut that if you're not.
Yeah, I'll cut the live stream right now, and then we'll take the photo here and then move over to the pub.
Perfect.
Once my mouse starts working, I'll use the trackpad. Photo here and then move over to the pub.
Perfect.
Once my mouse starts working, I'll use the trackpad.
Come